Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Market Snapshot series. My name is Rufus Kamau, Markets Analyst at FX Pesa. So today we'll be talking about the top highlight events that are expected to be moving prices. And once we cover this, we'll do technical analysis, try to understand the current market structure and where prices might be headed next. So as usual, remember, this session does not constitute any form of investment advice. It's not a recommendation to trade, so you should always do your own due diligence. So today we'll be having a special feature where we focus on stocks, look at some of the high performing stocks, and just in case you're building a stock watch list to look into what you might investigate further to see if there's any opportunities, then that would be premium for you. So let's get started. Looking at our website called Financial Juice, and here we are focusing on the top highlight events as of this morning. So let's get started with that for today. Kindly give me a sec. Awesome. So the key highlight as of this morning is that German manufacturing PMI came in at 49.2. This was higher than the previous reading of 49.0, but it missed expectations of 49.5. So also, earlier on, we had a French manufacturing PMI, which was also better than expected. And now we just got the overall Eurozone manufacturing PMI, which came in at 49.8, an improvement from the previous reading of 49.5, and of course, at par with the forecast of 49.8. So clearly, you can see that manufacturing as well as services have been improving, with earlier data coming in from Australia showing the same exact thing. So jumping on to the economic calendar, you'll notice that today we have quite a number of economic reports. At 2 a.m., we had Australian manufacturing PMI doing better than expected at 51.6, up from 50.6 in the prior reading. Services PMI was up 53.8 from 51.8 in the prior reading. So as usual, for those who are new to S&P Global Manufacturing and Services PMI, they are rated from 0 to 100, where 50 is the midpoint. So values below 50 are basically indicative of a contracting sector. So if you see a value below 50, you know that manufacturing or services PMI is indicating a contracting sector. Values above 50 is expansionary and are taken very positively. Apologies for that. So whenever you see better than expected results and values are above 50, in most cases, it's usually positive for the currency. In this case, positive for the Australian dollar. Looking at French flash manufacturing and services PMIs, there was an overall improvement from 48.1 to 48.4 and from 49.6 to 49.7. Clearly, Europe manufacturing and services are improving. For Germany, services jumped into expansionary territory to 50.1, up from 49.7 in the prior reading. Manufacturing, was up 49.2, up from 49.0 in the prior reading. And specifically for Germany, if you look at the manufacturing PMI and then you look at the history, you'll notice that this is quite an improvement. In the prior readings, Germany was doing really bad, especially in the last 1 year. So now we are seeing German manufacturing getting back in shape. And of course, for the overall Eurozone, try to refresh my chart here. So for the overall Eurozone, manufacturing improved to 49.8, up from 49.5, and services 51.2, up from 50.5. Clearly, also services are also doing well in the Eurozone. So going ahead for the rest of the day, we'll be focusing on UK manufacturing and services PMI. So in the prior reading, we had 47.7. We're expecting 47.9 for manufacturing. On the services side, we had 52.8. We're expecting the same. So a better than expected reading is expected to be positive for the UK pound. So the main event for the day will be the interest rate decision by the European Central Bank, where in this case, we're expecting the ECB to be holding rates steady at 2.15% after having seen 8 consecutive rate cuts in the prior meetings. So if you look at the previous meetings by the European Central Bank, all we have been seeing is month after month of interest rate cutting. So the first cut happened at the end of April last year, and then in each consecutive meeting, we have seen the ECB cutting rates. down to the current level of 2.15%. So from here, the ECB members are holding steady, mainly because they feel that they have dropped interest rates significantly, and this should be sufficient to boost expansion and growth in the Eurozone economy. So in this case, holding rates might be taken as positive for the euro, whereas further rate cut would mean the euro starts depreciating against other currencies. So for now, we know that the euro has been a pretty good performer since the year started, being up over 10% against the dollar and up over 10% against other major currencies. So in this case, I expect that the euro will maintain some form of resilience, especially considering that we have been seeing a weak dollar, though this morning the dollar index has been pretty strong. So other than that, there will be a lot of focus on the ECB press conference, which will be coming at 3:45 p.m., 30 minutes after the interest rate decision. So on the ECB press conference, investors will be focused on the ECB chair, Christine Lagarde, and her comments on Eurozone monetary policy. So if she's more aggressive on further rate cuts, that could weaken the euro. But if she's more inclined to hold interest rates steady at the current level for a while, then that should be supportive of the euro. So we'll also be looking at the retail sales data from Canada, where retail sales are expected to have dropped by negative 0.9% from a previous reading of a positive 0.3%. In this case, indicating a big drop in retail sales in Canada, which would be negative for the Canadian dollar. So if we see negative 0.9% or worse, then that could be negative for the Canadian dollar. And of course, for core retail sales, I'm expecting a further drop. In the prior reading, it was negative 0.3%. In this case, we're expecting a negative 0.2% drop. So for the last card of the day, it will be S&P Global Flash Manufacturing and Services PMIs for the US, where in this case, for manufacturing, we're expecting a slight slowdown to 52.7, down from the previous reading of 52.9, but still in expansionary territory, whereas services are expected to slightly improve from 52.9 to 53.0 in this reading. So a better performance in manufacturing and services PMI for the US could boost the dollar, whereas if there's a miss, then that should be negative for the dollar. So other than that, looking at other key events in the market as of this morning, one of the key highlights is German consumer morale unexpectedly falls. In this case, slipping to negative 21.5, heading into August 2025, from 20.3 in July, missing expectations of 19.2 and marking the lowest level since April. So other key highlights in the markets. Apologies for a second. The ECB, the European Central Bank, is expected to pause the easing cycle amid trade uncertainty. So in this case, the main focus point will be on the negotiations between the EU and the US on tariffs. So the key thing that a lot of ECB members are focused on is whether the Eurozone will have a deal with Trump before the 1st of August date. So remember, the 90-day pause on tariffs is expected to expire on the 1st of August. So that's a few days from today, or relatively about a week from today. So in this case, there's a lot of heightened negotiations. We saw how the Nikkei benchmark index in Japan made a very strong rally earlier in the week as a result of the of Japan getting into a deal with the US, where they agreed on 15% tariffs. So in that case, it led to a very strong rally in the Nikkei 225 index. So in this case, if there's a deal between, let's say, the Eurozone and the US, then that is expected to boost European stocks. But so far, we don't have that yet. And that concern is driving European indices down. So Spain jobless rate falls to 17-year low, in this case 10.29% in the second quarter of 2025, down from 11.36 in the previous quarter, marking the lowest level since 2008 and below. And of course, this marks a very strong job market in Spain. So European markets rise to trade rise on trade optimism ahead of ECB. I don't think this is true. It's a bit late. From what I've seen in the stocks, it seems like European stocks are currently falling after having a pretty good first half of the week. So French industry confidence dips slightly. India factory growth hits 17-year peak, and EU car registrations fall 7.3% in June. So looking at other news in the market, we'll be starting with the performance of currencies. So in the last 1 week, the dollar has been the weakest currency in the market, with the Australian dollar leading the gains and the Japanese yen. So the AUD and the JPY have both gained by 1.65% against the USD in the last 1 week. New Zealand dollar 1.56%, Euro 1.2%, UK pound 1.15%, Swiss franc 0.97%, and Canadian dollar 0.83%. However, on the day, if you look at the performance of currencies today, there's nothing, we don't see a big change from the dollar valuations, where major currencies are trading very close to the dollar, with the Australian dollar having a slight gain of 0.14%, whereas the Swiss franc has a slight drop of 0.15%. So clearly, most currencies are moving more sideways, despite having made some very big gains earlier in the week. So looking at other news, we now get to the section I mentioned earlier, where we do a quick focus on stocks and how they have been performing since the year started. So since the year started, major stocks have made some substantial gains, with companies such as Microsoft being up 20%, Oracle 45%, Palantir up 104%, Nvidia 27%. Tesla is still down, negative 17%. Google has a slight gain of 0.56%. Meta Platforms or Facebook up 21%. General Electric being up 57%, and of course, Boeing being up 32%. So there is quite a number of key performers since the year started. For instance, if you look at Philip Morris International, is up 36%. And if you look at the last 1 day performance or the last session, which is yesterday, you'd notice we didn't have much of a movement. Yes, Nvidia was up 2.25% and Palantir 3.73%. But the companies, especially in big tech that announced earnings earlier this week, didn't have much of a performance. With Google, which reported better than expected earnings, being up 0.31%. We also had Tesla missing earnings slightly. It was up 0.14%. And earlier in the week, we had Netflix announcing its earnings. I'm trying to find Netflix here. Should be somewhere here. Netflix, yes, it's right here. So as of yesterday, it was down 1.12%, despite reporting better than expected earnings. So what are the key performers as of this year? And looking at different sectors in the broader US stock market index, we'll be focusing on quite a good number of companies. So one of the key highlights that you might want to consider and check them out is Seagate Technology Holdings. This is a company commonly known for laying down fiber optic cables. So it's an American data storage company incorporated in 1978, and it mainly deals with fiber optic cables and supporting data networks around the world. So most likely you might be using a product of Seagate Technology if you're on the internet right now. And so far they are up 76.83%, and this is quite a good performance considering that we are just in July. So also looking at other key performers in the market as of today, another company is Mosaic Company. This is a company that deals with fertilizers. It's an American chemical company based in Tampa, Florida, which mines phosphate, potash, and collects urea for fertilizer through various international distribution networks and Mosaic Fertilizantes. So far, since the year started, it's up 52.50%. So we might want to check it out and see how it's performing. Also, you might want to check onto Tapestry Incorporated. So these are a fashion holding company based in New York. So far, it's up 66.34% since the year started. And of course, there is more. So today on the highlights, I'll be showing you are some of the top performers. So knowing that Bitcoin recently hit a new all-time high, Ethereum has been trending, XRP has also been trending, making some good gains in the current quarter. We know that one of the biggest companies in the crypto market is Coinbase, which is listed in the Nasdaq. So far the company is up 54.66% since the year started. So also one of the key or core companies to consider. So Robinhood Markets is also doing pretty well. It's up 158.82%. So it's one of the top retail trading companies in the US, spanning forex, stocks, as well as crypto. And so far, being up 158% is still quite a good performance. Next, you might want to check into MicroStrategy, one of the top Bitcoin holding companies led by Michael Saylor. Of course, they rebranded, removed the micro, and today they call themselves Strategy without the micro. So far, year to date, they are up that 7.55%. And of course, two more stocks I'll be highlighting today is one, Alex Karp's Palantir Technologies Incorporated. So the stock is up 105.65% since the year started. One of the top AI companies in the US, mainly providing data processing solutions to the US government as well as to the private sector. So it's an American publicly traded company specializing in software platforms, mainly AI products, and it basically has very strong government contracts with the US. So the last stock is a Bank of America Corporation. So this is indicative of a pretty good performing banking sector. So main reason I highlighted this is because the company reported earnings earlier this week, and of course there is key developments happening with Bank of America. So it's one of the top stocks held by Warren Buffett for the longest. It doesn't have as much performance as the other stocks we mentioned. So the stock is up 8.69% year to date. And of course, as per yesterday, it was up 0.77%. So main reason I'm highlighting this one is because of one key update. And this happened as of yesterday. Bank of America authorizes 40 billion stock repurchase program. So in this case, whenever you see a company buying back its own stock, this is usually positive news for the stock. So investors tend to buy even more of that stock. When a company buys more back its own stock, it basically makes the stock scarcer, and as a result, value tends to go higher. So Bank of America said on Wednesday, its board has authorized $40 billion worth of stock repurchase program. So the new buyback program, which will take effect on the 1st of August, will replace the current authorization, which had about 9.1 billion in repurchases remaining as of June 30, the bank said. So the biggest US lenders have enough capital to withstand a hypothetical severe economic and market turmoil scenario, the Federal Reserve said last month. So other than that, looking at other key highlights in the markets is one, we have an update from Trump. He had a speech as of last night. So he basically said that countries will face tariffs ranging from 15% to 50%. Of course, August 1st will be a big day in the market. So he suggested that he would not go below 15% as he sets so-called reciprocal tariff rates ahead of the 1st of August deadline, an indication that the floor for the increased levies was rising. So remember, in the previous address, where he announced tariffs on the entire world on the 2nd of April, the floor was 10%. Every country was slapped with 10%, with other countries getting even higher. And now we are seeing the floor rising to 15%. So we'll have a straight, simple tariff of anywhere between 15% and 50%. Trump said Wednesday at an AI summit in Washington. So a couple of, we have 50 because we haven't been getting along with those countries too well. Trump's comment declaring that the tariffs would begin at 15% represented the latest twist in his effort to impose duties on nearly every US trading partner, and the latest indication that Trump was looking to more aggressively impose the levies on exports and countries outside the small group that so far has been able to broker trade frameworks with Washington. So another news, Tesla missed Q2 earnings, but says more affordable model planned for 2025 production. So as of yesterday, when Tesla announced its earnings, there was a slight miss. In this case, the company reported 22.5 billion worth of revenue, which missed the expectations of 22.64, so not very far off, but a 12% drop compared with 25.05 billion reported a year ago. Tesla posted adjusted earnings per share of $0.4 compared to an expectation of 0.42, so also a slight miss, with operating income coming in at 923 million versus 1.23 billion expected. So that was a slight miss, and of course we know that there has been a lot of competition, and his conflict or Elon Musk's conflict with Trump is also costing the company. So of particular interest, Tesla's revenue from the sale of regulatory credits fell from 439 million to fell to 439 million, down from 890 million an year earlier, and will continue to drop following a passage of the One Big Beautiful Bill by US President Donald Trump. So we continue to expand our vehicle offering, including fast builds of a more affordable model in June, with volume production planned for the second half of 2025. The company said in a statement. Tesla also said its purpose-built robotaxi was still scheduled for volume production starting in 2026. So in other news, Google was doing better than expected. So it reported better than expected Q2 earnings, raising capital expenditures on AI. So on these earnings, the company said that capital expenditures will climb to 85 billion. Previously projected was 75 billion, so they increased by 10 billion, indicating that the company is doubling it down on AI investment. So AI is positively impacting every part of the business, driving strong momentum, said Sundar Pichai in a statement. So Search delivered double-digit revenue growth, and our new features like AI overviews and AI mode are performing well. We continue to see strong performance in YouTube as well as subscriptions offerings. And Crowd had strong growth in revenues, backlog, and profitability. Its annual revenue run rate is now more than $50 billion. So for the quarter, Google saw adjusted earnings per share of $2.31 on revenue, excluding traffic acquisition costs of $81.2 billion. Analysts were expecting an earnings per share of 2.17, so 2.31 was better than expected. And revenue, we expected $79.6 billion, but we got 81.2. So clearly, this is better than expected. So advertising revenue came in at 71.3 billion versus expectations of 69.3 billion. Search revenue topped out at 54.1 billion versus an anticipated 52.7 billion. YouTube ad revenue was up 9.8 billion versus an expectation of 9.5 billion. So clearly, the company was outperforming earnings across all sectors. So in this case, we expect the companies to remain strong, even though we have seen the Nasdaq hitting new all-time highs. Today, we seem to be having some form of pullback, but overall, the sentiment is quite positive across board. So on the FX Pesa side, remember, we have a new episode of the Bullish Banter podcast. On the latest episode, we discussed Trump's power play, oil shock, and Africa's rise. Here with my co-host, Jesse Ogola. You can check out the podcast after this. And of course, feel free to share your feedback and share the podcast with other listeners who might be interested in understanding the current trends in the global markets. So on the other hand, if you are a beginner in trading and you're looking to start a trading journey, check out the Novice to Pro course with Rufus Kamau. That's my name. This course is available on FX Pesa YouTube channel. Make sure to check it out. And lastly, for those who are new or joining for the first time, remember that these live sessions happen every day, Monday to Friday, at exactly 11 a.m. So from there, you're able to gain insights on what is currently moving the markets. So clearly, yesterday, the session was held by Robert Mbogo. We also have Emmanuel from Kampala. We have Prudence from Tanzania. So clearly, you get different perspectives in the markets every day, and this will help you digest and understand what's currently moving prices. So as we continue, remember, these sessions Remember, these sessions welcome a lot of engagements from you. So if you have any questions, feel free to type them in the comment section, and I'll be responding on the go or as we approach the end of the presentation. So good morning, Paul Kerry, and shout out to you for being the first to join in comment. You can see Robert Kavari in the house. Guaro, thank you for joining. Smith FX, Dennis Mwangi, good morning. Frederick Kiprop, Violet Otieno, Simon Gikonyo, Charles Kiama, thank you for joining. So if you're here for the first time, remember, these sessions run from Monday to Friday at exactly 11 a.m. And if you have any related questions, you can type them, and we usually respond on the go or towards the end of the session. Samuel Joroge, thank you for joining. Frank Nzioki, Joyadeno. So a good question, how can I buy gold like Bitcoin? Well, in Kenya, I don't know any company that does bullion sales, but on the FX Pesa trading platform, you're able to speculate on the price of gold. In fact, it's one of the most commonly traded assets on our platform. I can see Lewis Mutembe in the house, Maureen Kakungi, J Squad, thank you for joining. And we have a comment from Apollo. Collins Kavehe, thank you for joining. Vivian Wanjiro, Joseph Wambua, shout out to you guys. Thank you for joining, and of course for your engagement on the session. Good question. Hello, Rufus. Stocks are at their all-time highs. From your experience incorporating what we know about AI, revenue, and earning strengths, is a price pullback possible, and what would trigger this? Well, one of the key things that is likely going to cause a pullback is the August 1 announcements of tariffs. So this could affect different companies in different ways. Some companies might benefit from the announcements on August 1, and some other companies might not benefit. So just in case there is a dip, we know that Trump always backs down, and we have seen it happen over and over again. So if you have a really strong company you've been studying, it's on your watch list, and maybe something happens on August 1 that drops prices, then that gives you a much better entry point. So other than that, I feel or expect that the market will continue running and continue forming new highs, especially considering that we have seen big tech companies giving better than expected earnings, and potentially we could be seeing even more companies reporting better than expected earnings, leading to further outperformance on the Nasdaq, SP 500, and the Dow Jones, as well as the Russell 2000 indices. So nice comment here from Rosrin, and thank you. The Bullish Banter session on Trump and oil is fantastic. So if you haven't watched it yet, make sure to check it out on the FX Pesa YouTube channel. So now we move on and get to some technical analysis. Of course, I know you guys have been watching the charts. You know some of the biggest movements as of this morning, and I won't waste your time. I know that you are all most likely looking at gold. So gold has been on a big drop from yesterday. So earlier in the week, gold had some big moves. Notice how from the open of the week, Monday and Tuesday, we managed to rally about 846 pips or 2.53%. Then from yesterday, all we have been seeing is a big drop in the price of gold. So notice from Tuesday's high, yesterday we had a big drop of 1.34%, which was extended further today, down 1.95%, almost 2%. And this big sell-off was almost getting to the start of the week, where we had started at 33.49, and now we are at 33.73. Remember, on the high that we saw yesterday, we were pretty close to a new all-time high in gold. So if you go to the daily time frame, we know that the all-time high is that 500. So that 500 is the highest the price of gold has ever reached. So after a very strong performance, notice how we go to this high, and immediately the price of gold started pushing further back downwards. And now from what we are seeing here, it's an area where markets have previously found resistance in the last couple of weeks. I would say in the last 3 weeks. So every time the market attempted to break this area, we would see short sellers pushing prices back down. However, this week we closed above that area on Monday, moved even higher, Tuesday even higher, then Wednesday a drop, and today back to the same area. So the big question is, could these be the likely support area where gold bounces back and progresses further back upwards? So it's a wait and see kind of scenario, but from what I'm seeing, especially on the last couple of minutes, it seems like gold might be finding a bottom around here. So it's a wait and see. We see how the hour closes, and once we see how the hour closes, if it's higher than the previous 1 hour candlestick, then there's a good chance that we might be having a reversal on the books. So good chance that this could be our low of the day, and the price now starts recovering from there, heading back to the open of the day. So the open of the day was 33.88. So good chance that we see gold bouncing back and getting back up to around 33.88. So on the oil markets, we know that oil has been consolidating for a while. So when Iran was attacking Israel and Israel attacking Iran, we saw oil prices make a major move and rally all the way up, getting to around $79 per barrel. But then once they agreed on a ceasefire, the following week, we had a very big drop and oil dropped all the way down, and we got a key level support at around $66.1 per barrel. But then, since then, oil prices generally moved higher for a good number of weeks, hitting a high of $70.9 per barrel. Then a sharp drop, and then we are approaching a zone that could likely imply more selling pressure. So in this case, you can already see from the last 2 hours, there has been a rejection of higher prices. And if you go to a smaller time frame, like the 15 minutes chart, then you notice that we've had quite a trend here over the last 3 days. So we broke above that trend line today, and oil rallied all the way up. And of course, a key level resistance would be the start of this particular trend line here, which is around $69 per barrel. So the idea is to be looking for still short selling opportunities in oil. So if you get to around this area and we see evidence of sellers coming back in, then the idea is to be looking for short selling positions. Remember, OPEC plus countries are expanding production. So naturally, we should be expecting oil prices to be moving further back downwards. Also, the US President Trump is looking to pressure oil countries to be reducing production in order to drive prices lower. So he's really trying to push prices lower. So as of today, what we are seeing is a continuation of yesterday evening's rally. So yes, oil prices are pretty positive, but at some point we should be looking for short selling opportunities once we see evidence of sellers coming back in. So on the equities side, I mentioned that the Nikkei stock market index made a very strong rally. This was yesterday. This was after the trade deal with the US. So clearly, this was quite a move. So right from the open, we had a rally that ended all the way up, with the stock market gaining by 5.29%. So today we have seen the market attempt to extend the rally, but then now we are seeing short sellers coming right back in. So this could be some form of profit taking and the market taking a step back. So if we zoom out and you go to the daily chart, you'll notice that the last time we saw the Nikkei index trading this high was all the way back in September last year. But then after these, we saw a very big drop. So now, as we approach the same area, good chance we will be seeing some profit taking and the market making a reverse. So from the 15 minutes chart in early morning Sydney session, there was a strong rally. But then even the Japanese guys were selling during the Tokyo session. And now as we enter the London session, good chance we could be seeing some further pullback on the Nikkei 225 index. So also notice that from the 4-hour chart, we had a key level resistance here, which was broken pretty quick. From the daily, I believe we should be removing this. Yeah, so this was the key level resistance for the 40,841 price action level. And now, after the market rallied all the way up, good chance we could be seeing the market pulling back and retesting this area. So this is subject to confirmation. On the 4-hour chart, it's already beginning to show some signs. After the previous 4-hour candlestick showed some rejection, and now the current candlestick is indicating some form of bearishness. So UK 100 index is pushing into a new all-time high for the 4th consecutive session. So clearly a very strong stock market. So yes, we had this period of consolidation. We can all see it from here. I'll just draw it from here, where the market was basically moving sideways. So for this particular period, all we could see was the market moving sideways. Believe this should be sufficient to map out the area. So overall, during this period, the market movement was sideways. So we had a break earlier in the week. This was on Tuesday. Wednesday, we extended the rally, and today, even further upwards. We don't have candlesticks on the left. These are new all-time high. So good chance that we see an extension of the rally today. So on US equity indices, notice how we've had some good progression. The Nasdaq has been hitting new all-time highs almost every day. So the candlesticks have become smaller and smaller. So if you look at the daily candlesticks, yes, it's a push higher and higher and higher, including yesterday. But then with this push, there's usually these pullbacks that tend to be happening, especially in the London session. So if you look at the London session, as of yesterday, we had this drop here. Then in the New York session, a very strong rally. So on the London session the prior day, very drop, including the New York session open, but then some form of recovery later. And this seems to be some kind of a trend. So we tend to see this happening a lot. London session drop, then New York higher. London plus New York drop, and then later on towards midnight, some form of recovery. So this seems to be some form of a trend. And with the Nasdaq, now looking at today's price action. So early morning, we had this drop, and now it seems like the buyers are coming back in. So good chance that we see a likely rally extending today as we head into the New York session. So on the other hand, if you look at the SP 500, also had a very strong rally, ranged for a while. This is the range moving sideways. Eventually broke the range, retested the area, rallied even higher, formed a new high, pulled back, retested the same support, and then a very strong rally, which eventually broke the resistance and formed a new high. And then as of this morning, there is a slight pullback, but the market seems adamant on pushing even higher. So more likely that we see an extension of this bullish momentum. So for the Dow Jones, is the only one among the top indices that has not hit a new all-time high. So the all-time high is all the way up at $45,081 per share. So we are pretty close to that high. So far, the market broke outside this particular flag, went up, retested the area once, retested twice, and then made a very strong run. So as of this week, it's just a strong bullish momentum. So Monday, strong rally, Tuesday, another rally, Wednesday, even further. And today, as we get into Thursday, we are very close to getting into a new all-time high. So good chance that we see the Dow Jones going for a new high at around $45,081 per share. So this could be a likely momentum for today. So on the other hand, due to fears of what's happening, especially in the negotiations between the EU and Trump, European equities have been pretty strong, but as of this morning, they are facing a very strong resistance, a previous high of last week, and now we are seeing a potential pullback. So for the German stock market index, this morning we've had some very strong drop, and we could be seeing this drop extending further back downwards. Of course, we had key levels that were broken yesterday, and these levels are around here. So good chance that we see the market retesting these areas here. So this is a potential move for the day, though the overall trend is still bullish. So if you go to the daily time frame, it's still a very strong bullish market, looking to extend into a new all-time high. But for now, from the price action as of this morning, good chance that we see some form of pullback. So for the Spanish stock market index, we are pushing to a new high, looking to retest the previous high. Remember the job market we mentioned earlier in the session, where Spanish jobs improved and the unemployment rate went to a record low. And as a result, we are seeing some very strong and positive reaction here. For the Swiss stock market index, after getting to the upper trend line, here we broke the trend line for a while, but then you can see the strong selling pressure that emerged as of this morning, and now we are seeing a very strong reversal. So good chance that we see the market pushing back downwards, back into this particular shape. So this has been our trend line for some good time, and now it seems like we are on a downswing, moving towards the lower trend line. So for Norway, we opened with a very strong bullish momentum, and we are bound to break a potential resistance area. And if we break this, then there's a gap we have been studying here for some good time. Yes, it took a lot of days, I would say a lot of weeks, but now it seems more likely that the market will eventually close this gap and get back to 1,562 price action area. So from the 4-hour time frame, this is how it looks like. This was a big gap drop, and now the market is about to complete or cross the gap, and this is after 4 weeks of waiting. So for the French stock market index, we already hit a new high. So from the 4-hour time frame, this was the key level resistance, and once we got there, it seems that there has been a very strong profit taking, with price reversing immediately. And of course, the open for yesterday was around here. So we could be seeing the market reversing yesterday's gains and potentially extending the sell-off all the way down and closing this gap. So we could be seeing an extension of this bearish momentum down to 77.54. So for Netherlands, we are still in this cycle. So Netherlands stock market index just bounced from the lower trend line, and now we are moving towards the upper trend line. So good chance that we get to the upper trend line today. And for the EU or for the Euro stocks, after hitting this major resistance, breaking, now we are seeing more momentum downwards, indicating a potential that we could be moving further back to around 53.43. So on the currencies side, there's quite a number of things happening. Well, one of them is that the dollar index has been pretty weak. This has been the overall movement of the dollar index. So with a pretty weak dollar index, other currencies have been benefiting from the same. However, as of this morning, we have seen some slight gains in the dollar, similar to what we saw yesterday. Slight gains in early morning, then a sell-off, another gain, and then during the New York session, further sell-off, showing further weakness in the dollar. So in this case, whenever you see some strong gains in the dollar, they represent opportunities to buy the stronger currencies. So talking of stronger currencies, we've had the euro being the major winner of the year. So if we had to give a trophy to a currency, that would be the euro. So since the year started, notice this was January. So from January, right here, this was the opening price, and now we are here. It's basically showing you month-over-month gains in the euro against the dollar. So clearly, if we measure this, this is a 13.68% or 13.7% gain against the USD. So with all these gains happening, notice that the last 4 days have been strong gains in the euro against the USD. So on the 1-hour time frame, notice that we have had this period after a big move, sideways momentum, and then further gains, sideways momentum, further gains, and now we might be entering yet another form of consolidation. So going into a smaller time frame, for instance, the 15 minutes time frame, you'd notice that, for instance, here we had some form of flag where the euro made a very strong rally here. Just a sec. So this was the big move, or what we would describe as a flagpole. Then it traded in a flag, and then a very strong rally from this point onwards. Then once we go to that high, it seems like the market has been stalling. So clearly, we should be watching and monitoring this area here to see if there's any chance that the euro eventually continues the bullish momentum. So at some point, we expect yet another bullish momentum, though the market might reverse. But for now, the market is trading in some form of consolidation. So for the pound, very strong rally as well against the US dollar. However, as of this morning, what we are seeing is the pound pulling back downwards, or basically the pound taking a pound. So from the 15 minutes chart, you can see the sharp drop we are already experiencing. This should not cause any form of panic. At some point, we should take it positively and look for potential entry points for continued bullish momentum in the pound. So notice how we had some form of flag here. Pound trading sideways, breaking, retesting, and then continuing higher. And now we are seeing what looks like a potential pullback, looking to target 1.35334. So from here, we should be expecting to see some signs of buyers coming back. So good chance that we see the pound bouncing from here. However, as of now, it's just bearish momentum. the bears are too strong for now. So good chance that we see an extension of this move. So on the AUDUSD pair, clearly we had a very strong bounce from the lower side. We had some nice breakout last week where the market recovered, and now we got right back into pattern. So if I zoom out, you'll notice, yes, the chart has been a bit chaotic. So now if I pull back my chart here and then extend here, then you'll notice that the pair is basically approaching a resistance area, a potential area where short sellers could enter. So from the 1 hour time frame, here you can already see in the last 3 hours, there has been attempts to short here. So yes, we don't have sufficient evidence of short selling, but at some point we should be expecting something similar to play out and the market to pull back a bit. So pretty good and strong momentum here. At some point we expect some form of pullback. So for the dollar yen, clearly we had a very strong momentum here. So we went all the way to the resistance. After the resistance, there was a sharp drop, a retest, and then a continuation for the downwards. So in this case, I expect the yen to continue maintaining very strong momentum against the USD. So yes, the yen was weak for a short while, but then the long-term trend is bearish. So in this case, we are looking at a yen that has been strengthening against the USD. So January, the year started around here. I would say here. Yes. So right at this junction is where the market started at the opening of the year. So far the dollar has lost 7% to the yen, and this seems to be continuing. And from the daily time frame, you can notice that we've had 3 consecutive days of the dollar losing to the yen, and today being the 4th, yes, there is a form of pullback, but at some point we expect more bearish momentum. So clearly there's some kind of play happening here. So notice how the days have had consecutive lows. So yes, the market is forming lower highs and lower lows. So at some point, we should be expecting more selling pressure. So yes, for now, the dollar is gaining against the yen, but at some point, we should be expecting to see sellers coming in and pushing prices lower. So around that, looking at the New Zealand USD, same case as the Australian dollar, very, very strong bullish momentum. But then at some point, we expect this bullish momentum to be exhausted. Of course, we are already approaching a key level that we would term as resistance. So the last time we saw price struggling was around here, really struggling to break and move higher. And now we are approaching the same area. So for now, the bullish momentum continues, but at some point, we should be expecting some profit taking and the market reversing and forming some bearish momentum. So as of the most recent high, we have already broken it. So in this case, after a breakout, retest, and now we are looking at a continuation. So yes, an extended momentum, but at some point we expect bearish reversal. So for silver, we have had multi-year highs. So if you go to the daily time frame, weekly, these are very strong high and a very strong rally in silver. So after hitting a new high, that was yesterday, we saw the price pulling back downwards, attempting to move higher and then fall back downwards. However, you can see from the 1 hour candlesticks that the market is not entertaining pullbacks in silver. So in this case, there was a very strong bounce as of this morning, and now a potential rally towards the daily high. So in this case, silver could extend the rally back to around $39.317 per ounce. So that's it for the day. Of course, we have the Asian pairs. So in this case, for China A50 index, as of this morning, it hasn't been that good. So yesterday, strong rally was cancelled immediately, and now today it seems like we are extending the bearish momentum. So yes, after the strong rally, here we are seeing the market rejecting higher prices. So from the daily candlestick, it's indicative of a rejection of higher prices, and we could be seeing yet another retest of the particular trend line we have here on the upper side. And this is on the daily. So after we had this breakout, the breakout happened here, market pulled back and bounced and moved higher. But then from yesterday's candlestick, it's indicative of a rejection of higher prices. So potentially pulling back, and this pullback could be extended all the way down to 33,849. And of course, for the Hang Seng Index, the strong bullish momentum continues. I would say this is the 6th straight day we are seeing a strong momentum. And if you zoom out, you'll notice that the current price was last seen in 2021, November 12th. So strong momentum on the Hong Kong index. So far on the H1 chart, yes, price is struggling a bit, but the bullish momentum is expected to continue, especially as we head into the New York session. So using a smaller time frame, you can see that there was a strong momentum at market open, but since then the market has stalled a bit. So we haven't had a major movement here. So clearly, it seems to be trading in some form of flag, but at some point we expect that flag to be broken. So lastly, we have Bitcoin, which has entered some form of consolidation. So yes, we had a new all-time high about 2 weeks ago of $123,237 per Bitcoin. But then since that time, the market pulled back, found support around 116,550. And then the resistance seems to be around this area here, 120,333. So we can safely assume that Bitcoin has been trading sideways for the last almost 10 days. So this is more of a sideways momentum. And of course, for short-term trading, clearly today we went down and found support, bounced, and we could be seeing price extending to the upper band, in this case around 120,333. So that being said, I believe we can check if there's any other questions. If there's no questions, then we end the session. Good question. We don't have FX Pesa on TradingView. However, if you download the FX Pesa trading app, it's called Equity Trader, equity with an I in the end, then you should find charts that are similar to TradingView, even better with more features. So check Equity Trader. I've just typed equity. Hi Vivian, can see Joseph Ambua in the house. Reposted this stream. Thank you, and I appreciate this support. So good question. What confirmations do you use to enter the market? I mainly use price action. So basically be looking at the candlestick pattern, and of course the confirmation is another candlestick moving in the same direction. So I don't know if we have a good example for today, but let's see if we can find one. Yes, yesterday I had a trade on the German stock market index. So yesterday was pretty bullish. Sorry, the day before yesterday. So I'll give you an example here. Just eliminate all this. So the market was basically moving downwards. We got to this key level support. So notice what happened. There was a very sharp drop, and then on the next immediate hour, there was a reversal indicating a very strong entry by buyers. And then in the next 3 hours, there was a push to move prices higher. So as soon as we covered the red candlestick and we had the green candlestick closing higher at this point, this is where I made my entry for a buy trade, given that there was evidence enough for bullish momentum. So after this, there was a very strong rally. Of course, the target was pretty easy to spot. So in this case, the target was a very strong rally to the previous day's high. So an easy way of confirming is looking at candlesticks moving in the direction of your buyers for the trade. That is after you have seen evidence of, in this case, buyers entering the market. So I hope that helps. Other traders have other ways of confirming. For me, that's mine. I don't know if it might work for you. So that's it for the day. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for your time. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't subscribed yet, remember these sessions happen every day at 11 a.m. Of course, if you subscribe, you'll get reminders. And other than that, I wish you guys a happy trading day. So good comment here. Nice bullish banter. These banters are extremely well researched. Thank you for the great work. And special thank you to Apollo. You have been a consistent attendee to these sessions, which is proof that you find value in them. So for those who are new and just joined, make sure to be following these sessions every day, share with your friends. Let us all trade from an informed perspective. That's it from my side. Enjoy the rest of your day.